Hello students. So in the previous class we have started with the new chapter and that is air. Air around us. Air which is present in the atmosphere, which is present around us. Okay. So in this chapter student, first of all the thing which we have studied, that is the concept of air or what is air. So air is what? It is a mixture of gases. Mixture of gases, it means it includes all the different types of gases, including that of the oxygen or carbon dioxide or nitrogen or that of the water vapor. So all these things are present in that of the air students. So because of that we will say that air is the mixture of the gases. Later on we studied that moving air is known as a wind. Moving air, that is, or when the air it blows, then it forms a wind. Okay, so moving air it constitutes the wind student. Then we gone through a lot of the examples which occur due to that of the wind student. So the first thing that how wind it helps in separating the husk from that of the wheat in the process of winnowing. It helps in flying the kite in the sky. It helps in stirring that of the leaves which is present on the tree, as well as it helps in swaying that of the cloth which we hang in the cloth line. And if you see the other example, it helps in rotating that of the filky, okay, that a toy which is played by that of the kids. So these are the different examples through which we have understood about that how wind helps us. Then we gone through an activity, and in that activity what we have understood students that air it is present everywhere surrounding us. Like if we see that an empty bottle is there, empty glass is there, so it seems that nothing is there, nothing is present in it, it is empty only. But with that of the help of the activity in which we have taken the inverted bottle, try to push the bottle in that of the water. Finally, what will happen when you take it out? You see that no water enters, no water is present inside the bottle. It is because already a space is covered by that of air. So it is filled with air and thus water is not able to get inside it. But as you tilted the bottle, what will happen? The bubbles starts coming out. The gases, the air which is present in it starts coming out in the form of a bubbles, and finally the water can go inside it. So this proves that air it is present everywhere around us. Now on that basis students, we will discuss about the properties of the air. Properties. What are the different properties of the air student? So the first property is that air is water. Okay, if you are standing, you can see that there is something? No. Why is it so? So what does that mean? That there is no air surrounding us? No, it is not, because we have studied that all the object is surrounded by the air. It means air is present everywhere. So is it possible for us to see the air student? No. Why is this so? Because air does not have a color. Okay, so we can say that air is water, air is a colorless. As well as there is no taste of the air students. So we can say that air is tasteless. So air is colorless and tasteless, which is present around us. So it is air is a colorless, tasteless, gaseous substance. Gaseous substance. Now, is there any smell of the air is also there, students? So when you smell you will find that there is no smell of the air. Although the other kind of a smell will get mixed with the air, that is the another thing. But if we talk that there is no, we did not spray any perfume or we did not lit an agarbatti. So what you will see that right now, if you are standing in your room, if you find a smell of that of the air, student, no, you will say no. So what does that mean? That it is not only colorless, it is not only tasteless, but it is also a odorless gaseous substance. Odor, it means smell, students. So air is an odorless gaseous substance. Okay, so it is tasteless, it is colorless, as well as it is the odorless gaseous substance. The third property of the air, students, so we had discussed in this activity itself that air, it is filled, it is present in that of the water bottle. So what we can say that air, it occupies the space. How, students? Because as you try to make the bottle, pushes the bottle in the water itself, what you have seen that the water is, even though it is fully dipped in the water, but even then also water is not able to get inside the bottle because that is totally filled with the air. That bottle is totally consisting of the air. So we can say that the space in the bottle is occupied by that of the air. So by this we come to a conclusion that the air occupies space. Okay, students? It occupies space. Okay, so we can understand this, that how it occupies space with the help of the same activity that we had done yesterday. Okay, so it covers that of it is filled with that of the air, so it occupies the space of that of the bottle. Now, next one is that air, it is having mass, or you can say air has a weight. Okay, so the next property is air has mass, or we can say it is having weight. Okay, so air has weight or air has mass. What does that mean, students? That although we cannot see air, we can feel the presence, but it is having mass. We can understand it with the help of. So air has mass, student, we can understand with the help of the activity. As you can see here, student, here we have taken two balloons, okay, and these two balloons are tied over on the scales, on the two scales. Okay, so you see here that right now these two balloons are equal. Okay, they both are having the same mass. That's why if you see that they both of them are balanced right now. Okay, just because both of them is having the same mass. Now, what you will do if you want to understand that which one that air has a mass, students? So, or air has a weight. So, how the air has a weight? What will happen if suppose one of the balloon out of these two balloons will have more weight? What will happen? The scale will tilt it towards that portion. Okay, where the weight is higher as compared to other. That is how we used to measure the weight, students. So, the heavier portion will get tilted and that of the lighter portion will goes in the upward direction. Okay, so it tilted downward, one is goes in the upward direction, which proves that both of them is having the unequal weight, students. So you can see here that these two balloons are there, and right now both of them are equal in mass to each other. Wait a second. Okay, so they both of them are balanced right now, students. Now what you will do, you use a needle and you just Now you will see what happened. This scale will just it tilted towards the next balloon, which is inflating. It means which is having the air in it. Okay, so this balloon, when it was having the air, at that time both the balloon was balanced with each other, and which shows that both of them is having the equal mass, both of them is having the equal weight, student. But when we talk about, when we use the needle and the one balloon it get burst, then what will happen? The weight of this balloon will get is more than that of this this bursted balloon. So it will, the scale will tilt it towards that of the balloon which is having the heavier weight, or which is the heavier one. Okay, so by this activity we can say that air is having weight. Then with the help of the same balloon, students, now you see here, this is the balloon, and is it possible to compress it? Yes. Okay, so we are able to compress this balloon. So by this, student, now if you take this a solid substance, okay, so this solid substance, is it possible to compress it? No. But if a object is, if a material is consisting of air in it, then what will happen? It will be very easy to compress it. So we can say that the next property of the air, that is air is compressible. Okay, so air has weight as well as air is compressible, students. Okay, now the next property of the air is, student, that air exert pressure. Sixth one is air exerts pressure. Air exerts a pressure, student? Yes, it exerts a pressure. And when the pressure of the one side become lower, the pressure of the other side will become higher. This one also we can understand with the help of an activity. Now this is a glass, students. When you take this glass and keep it in your mouth and suck all the air which is present in that of the glass, what will happen? An external air will exert a pressure on this glass, and due to which it remain stick to that of your mouth. Okay, so we can do it that when we suck it, when we take out all the air from it, student. So what is this, students? As you keep it in your mouth, you just suck all the air which is present in it, and due to which what happened? The pressure here, it become less. So our outer pressure will exert on this glass, and this external pressure makes the glass to remain attached with the mouth. And as you breathe out, what happened? The pressure get increases, and due to which it falls down. Okay, so by this we can say that air, it exerts pressure. Okay. Next property is that air dissolves in water. So air dissolves in water, students. So you have heard about the aquatic plants and the animals. So in aquatic plant and animals, they used to breathe. The plants which is present in it also breathe. So you will say that from where they get this oxygen, from where they get the carbon dioxide. So we can understand, this student, the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, it is present in it is dissolved in that of the water. So they used to take the oxygen and carbon dioxide from the water itself. By this we can say that the oxygen and carbon dioxide, it is present in a dissolved form, okay, in that of the water, or we can say that it get easily dissolved in the water, it remains dissolved in the water, and thus the aquatic plant and aquatic animal, they can take the carbon dioxide, oxygen. Okay, for their survival. Okay, so they also used to breathe, even though their respiratory organ is different, but they breathe by taking that of the oxygen. They carry the process of photosynthesis by taking the carbon dioxide. They used to release the carbon dioxide in water. So this carbon dioxide gas, this oxygen gas, which is present in the water, so we can say that it remains dissolved in water. So they used to take the dissolved form of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay students, so these are some of the properties of the air. Air, it is colorless, it is tasteless, it is odorless. Air has a mass. Air occupies the space. Okay. Air has a weight also. Air is compressible. You can compress air. Then air exerts pressure and air can be dissolved in that of the water. These are the properties of the air. Now student, we will talk about the composition of that of the air. And before that, we will understand the another thing, and that is atmosphere. Atmosphere. Because in the atmosphere only all the gases are present, air is present, so we can say that mixture of gases present in the atmosphere constitute the air. So first of all, we will understand about the atmosphere, then we will go further and understand the composition of that of the air. Now if we talk about the atmosphere students, so atmosphere is what? It is the envelope of the air. Okay, so which surrounds that of the earth. So earth is covered by that of a kind of an envelope, and that we call the atmosphere. So atmosphere is the envelope of the air which surrounds the earth. Okay, so the envelope of the air which surrounds the earth is the atmosphere. If you see the atmosphere student, so it extends up to several kilometers above to that of the surface of earth. So if we talk about the thickness, so it extends up to several kilometers above the surface of the earth students. Okay, so we can say that it extends up to several kilometers above the surface of that of the earth. So it is what? It is an envelope of the air which surrounds the earth, and it is present several kilometers above. Okay, this is the atmosphere students. Now when we talk about the atmosphere student, why this atmosphere is important for us student? So the first and the foremost thing that came in your mind, that it consisting of the gases, and that is why it is very important. But if you see the atmosphere students, so the availability of the oxygen in the atmosphere is very much. So we can say that this atmosphere is responsible for carrying the oxygen in it. And oxygen, it is very important for us. So we can write it, that is atmosphere is important since it consisting of oxygen. Okay, so since it consisting of oxygen, so we can say that it is very essential for us. Now, this oxygen is very essential, or oxygen is essential for the survival of the living organisms. So since this atmosphere consisting of an abundant amount of oxygen, so we can say that it plays a very important role. It is very essential for the survival of the living organisms. Now, okay, if the atmosphere is there at ground, at Earth's surface, you will feel that a lot of oxygen is there, and due to which you are able to survive properly. What will happen as you start moving at a higher altitude? Okay, so as you start moving at the higher altitude, student, the level of the oxygen keeps on decreasing. Okay, so we can write it, the level of the oxygen keeps on decreasing with the higher altitude. Okay, so with the rise of a higher altitude, or as we go to a higher altitude, what will happen? The level of the oxygen, it keeps on decreasing. And why, student, the level of the oxygen keeps on decreasing with the higher altitude? Because as we move higher and higher, the level, or we can say the amount of air will keeps on decreasing. It becomes less and less. So we can write it, that is, as we go at higher and higher, the amount of air becomes less and less. So the amount of air, it becomes less and less as we move to a higher altitude. As we go higher and higher, it becomes less and less, and as the air becomes less and less, obviously the level of the oxygen, the amount of the oxygen which is present in the air will also keeps on decreasing. Okay, so at higher altitude, the amount of oxygen keeps on decreasing. And if, students, the level of the oxygen keeps on decreasing at a higher altitude, what will happen? As the people, they move to the higher altitude, they will face breathing problem. They will be not able to breathe properly due to the lack of oxygen. And due to which, student, if you see the mountaineers, when they used to go to a higher altitude, when they used to go to that of the mountain, then what will happen? They will take a oxygen cylinder with them. The reason is that, student, that as they go at a higher altitude, the level of that of the air, or we can say the amount of the air, it becomes less and less. And since the amount of air is decreasing, obviously the amount of the oxygen present in it will also keeps on decreasing. So mountaineers, they used to carry the oxygen cylinder so that the problem, the amount of or the low amount of the oxygen can be compensated by that of the oxygen cylinder, students. Okay, so we many of the time the question is asked that why mountaineers, they used to carry the oxygen cylinder with them. So you will write it, the mountaineers used to carry the oxygen cylinder while moving to a higher altitude because the amount of oxygen is less. Okay. So they breathe in oxygen with these cylinders. Okay students, the mountaineers, they used to carry the oxygen cylinder by moving to a higher altitude because the amount of oxygen is less than, or we can say the amount of oxygen is very low, and due to which they used to breathe in oxygen with the help of these cylinders. So whenever the question is asked that why mountaineer they used to carry the oxygen cylinder with them students, so you will write it is because the amount of oxygen as we move higher and higher, the layer of the air it becomes thinner. Okay, it becomes thin. And what does that mean? It means the amount of air becomes less, and since the amount of air becomes less, the oxygen which is present in that of the air also becomes less, and thus they need oxygen cylinder to breathe in or to survive. Now we will see the composition of the air students. Okay, so we have studied that the atmosphere consisting of air in it, and this air as we go at the higher altitude it becomes thinner and thinner, it becomes less and less, and due to the oxygen it also becomes less. Now we will talk about that of the composition of the air students. Composition of air. It means what are the different constituents of the air? What are the things which is present in that of the air students? So when you read it, then you will find it students that basically almost a fourth, fifth reason of that of the atmosphere, of that of the air is covered up by that of nitrogen. So amount of the nitrogen, or if you talk about the percentage of the nitrogen in the atmosphere will be more, will be higher because it covers the most of the portion. So nitrogen, that will be of 78%. If we talk about another kind of a gas which is present in that of the air students, which is the part of the air, or which is the constituent of air, so that is oxygen. So oxygen, it covers about 1/5 of the total air. Okay, so we can say that it will cover 21% of the air present in the atmosphere. And very small amount of a small reason is present in the atmosphere, or a small amount of other gases are present in the atmosphere, which includes that of the carbon dioxide, water vapor, or other gases students. So they may be present in a 1%. Okay, so most of the portion is covered by that of the nitrogen student, and that is 78%. Oxygen is present, that is in a 21%, and the carbon dioxide and water vapor, which we sometimes if you see that it has been written as the other gases. So the amount or the percentage of that other gases is 1% only. So this is the composition of the air. We can represent this composition of air in a circle also. What is that, students? So if you see that, okay, so if this be considered as the different, it is the air in which the different composition, different constituent of air is present. So about 78% of the air is covered by that of the nitrogen. That is 78%. Out of that, 21% of oxygen is present, students, and a very small percentage of that of the other gases, this much. Okay, so we can say that only 1% of other gases. Okay, students, so okay, so 1% is of that of the other gases, 21% is of oxygen gas. Okay, while 78% is of that of the nitrogen gas.